Yo, yo. Adjusting levels. Hello there. Brayden here. Brayden here. I think everything looks good. Let me double check. Um, Day after election coverage. Tuning in. We're going to talk about some Denver area elections. There's some other elections happening throughout the state where we're still waiting to hear this music, maybe too epic. I think like El Paso County in the south side of the state is still, some elections are to be determined, but for the Denver metro area, we're gonna be talking about that today and doing a quick little update. It looks like things are working well. Still see how the music is. The Denver metro area. We're gonna be talking about that today. I think maybe be a little louder. Enjoy this jam of a music. Okay, easy peasy. Stream setup. Here we are on YouTube. Hopefully this will be moving forward with streams. Do a better job of scheduling them out. I want to work on putting out a calendar for this month because I want to do more with streams. Mix of just like everyday activities, like do maybe like once a week exercise stream. I want to do different design and policy topics, kind of talk through them live, and a few other activities I want to do. And sometimes the mix is video production, editing, stream, being kind of working solo through a lot of it and figuring out what I like most and trying each little part. I don't know, got to a point now where I can see the bigger picture, but it's still a balance on where to put that energy. But theoretically, if you structure your streams well into segments and you just video edit those segments, you can do a mix of having that live interaction and making the editing job on yourself easy so that you just upload those parts. And so we're gonna play around with editing and streaming a few different places, but I think it's just something I want to become more comfortable with. This is my second time recently. I did one last night and it took me a while to set up. Today I was trying to figure out multi-streaming. I don't know. But the main reason we're here today is to talk Colorado politics. So let's go through and take a look at some of the elections that were near me and the Denver metro area. Okay. So we have Douglas County, which is south of the Denver area, Denver city area. Say at the 2020 census is about 357,000 people. There's a few different city center areas. Highlands Ranch is where I live on the north side. Roxborough is this beautiful park, and we also have this shared reservoir. Castle Rock, Parker, Lone Tree, and Castle Pines are these other kind of like main areas, and I think Pinery is one of the more recent ones. We are in a shared county, and some of the Castle Pines is its own city and has its own like city elections, but certain things happen at the county level, like school board, some other elected positions, county commissioners, that dictate of a lot of what's happening. And this year we had a school board election where the results were positive. Interesting is, even though on the school board map it creates different districts, like we will look here and see school board district B, and it has to deal with, if you run to be that candidate, you have to live in that area wherever district B is. But the elections are at large elections, meaning this whole area votes. And so typically you run as a slate of 4 candidates who have shared ideology and help live in the different areas. And then there, even though it's a nonpartisan election, there tends to be multiple, often there's a slate of 4 running against a slate of 4, and it's at large. So where you might be like, oh, if this area were to vote District B, like it's maybe harder to take over if they weren't at large elections, because it's a 7-person board and it goes from 4-year terms of 4 candidates and then 3 candidates. When you get those 4 candidates, they just like kind of come in and take charge. And because it's an at-large election, it's not like those are actual like the different, what the needs and voices of those different areas. There's like areas of Castle Rock that maybe have more conservative leaning voters that can like weight that vote. And Douglas County overall is mostly, it's like 50-something% independent or unaffiliated. And then it goes more Republican and then more Dem. I think it's like 33 and then like 27, more or less a few percentage points. It is my kind of neck of the woods, and is one of the most like affluent counties. Like obviously that's not going to be every household, and but it's like there are some areas that have like multi-million-dollar houses, and I think it makes our politics a little interesting, some of these areas. But yeah, the conclusion so far is the more progressive the candidates with education experience, the slate of the community's choice, are winning in all these elections, and the closest one I think is about 3 percentage points, but yeah, I guess they did an update about 6 hours ago. We'll see if it updates, but percentages wise and numbers wise, why a lot of these races get declared is because even if there's still more votes to count and be looked at to see if like the signature matches the kind of like the historic signature, which is sometimes why like certain ballots take time to vote, to look at. There could be some other reasons as well. But you wouldn't expect it to come as like a waterfall of certain candidates. You would think that percentages would mostly hold, so you're not getting like 4,000 vote swings in like a certain direction. So that's why a lot of these are called. But for example, this one right here, this is what, 33 votes. And last night it was I want to say it was like 1,000 and something, and then this guy, Corey, had less. They haven't moved a whole lot. I think maybe in the last day or since last night there was 60 votes more on this side and like 20 more votes on this side. 30, maybe it's like 30, 40 on this side. But what a close race. These don't really say like percent counted. It just kind of tells you that where voter turnout is. So it's hard to know for sure on the. Sometimes you have to do something called ballot cure, which they're unsure if the ballot was filled out by the person who is supposed to fill it out, and it's normally because of like the signature looks different, and so you have to go take that ballot. And you get a group of volunteers to go look. And you like have them sign or do some type of paperwork that says yes, that is my ballot, and then you take it back and they count it. So maybe 30 votes is the difference there. So we're gonna have to wait and see. And I don't really know too much about I guess the other interesting Douglas County shout out was did want to vote for part of feeding children. And actually, this is the part where it's like, if you make over $300,000, it's a tax for helping feed healthy school meal program. And does 52%, does 66,000 people live in households that make that? Or are these just people who aspire? Or like have people in their life that make that much? That's such a high income category. Like, I guess if it's 2 or 3 incomes, but even 2 incomes, it's like very interesting. But coming in clutch school board, voting in the people with experience, amazing. So, next, we're gonna talk about look at a map, look at this next area of Colorado, Aurora. Aurora's like, this area kind of north of Douglas County. The C470 line is where Douglas County ends. And you can kind of see it's kind of weird shaped. There's like this area, or I guess this is not Aurora County, this is Aurora, the city. It's a home rule city located across different counties. And it's weirdly shaped, and that's mostly because I think Denver's weirdly shaped. And like, so as a city, it is split up into different wards, and there are some at-large elections, but then there are some of these that are just like different wards. And like I said, as a city, it goes across different counties. So this is like Arapahoe County, which is most of Aurora as a city. It has like the weird carve-out areas. But it's missing the top part of Aurora. This area that kind of stretches and fills up space between it and the airport. So we have these different wards, and so we're looking at some of these local elections, and we're gonna go through this article in Denver Right about what's happening, and we're gonna look at some of the election numbers. It was last updated 2 hours ago. The Trump-aligned Aurora City Council member at the center of the Tren de Aragua apartment takeover debate has conceded race after lagging behind 2 progressive candidates, Allie Jackson and Rob Andrews. "I have served my hometown and all of you with every ounce of passion and loyalty and heart that I have," she wrote in a post. I think this gets a little bit into it, but she's posted videos and helped publicize and propagandize that there was like gangs in the Denver area and in Aurora. It brought like Trump out, and we're going to talk about the importance of this. Is that she's also one of the things in Aurora is the Geo ICE facility. It is like a huge private prison that houses both people for ICE and I want to say it houses prisoners in the Denver city area. It has a contract with the city, and it's a private prison where it gets money from the state to hold people and work as a prison for the government. She was a city council member, and what's likely going to happen is it's going to go from, I think it's 6 conservative down to 3 conservative, and the more progressive group is going to have the majority. And I believe the mayor is still also conservative. But the numbers change. Maybe I should just... I want to thank you all. If Jackson Andrews win the 2 open at-large seats, they'll have overthrown both Republican incumbent and her colleague, an Ethiopian immigrant she endorsed. Jurency became the rare local politician to make national headlines by tying herself with the Trump admin. Her warnings about Venezuelan gang members drew national media attention. Eventually led Trump and others to falsely claim that Tren de Aragua had taken over the city. As of Wednesday morning, Republican incumbent Steve Sonderberg was trailing his challenger, Amy Wiles, and progressives were winning all the Aurora City Council races, signaling a potential shakeup in Aurora politics, which has recently been dominated by Republicans. Progressives were also leading in the Dallas County School Board race. It's a sea change for Aurora. We're going from having 7 conservatives and 3 progressives to 6 progressives and 4 conservatives, says Council Member Allison Combs, a self-described leftist who was not up for re-election this year. And again, we've won all the seats. It's hard to imagine we would win all the seats given results in past years, which have been from mixed results to almost a sweep by conservatives. Jackson did not immediately respond to requests for comment. I feel good. Conservatives had a major financial advantage in the elections but could not capitalize. Jurency reported raising some $258,000 for the election, far outpacing Jackson and Andrews. Jackson raised about $20,000 and Andrews about $50,000. An independent conservative group, Building Aurora's Future, also raised nearly $400,000 to spend on Jurency and others. In comparison, the left-leaning group near Colorado raised less than $10,000 to support Jackson and other candidates. Our council is going to have attention, often negative, for their conduct, their statements, their positions, and I think that really woke up a particular part of our community, Combs said. This has stuff to do with Jurency, and this is where the election's at, and this is a little bit more about that legacy and connection to Jurency and what happened with the gang rhetoric that they was a part of last year. But she has connections. She works for the ICE or the private prison facility. It's like, I don't know. And so, oh, uh, interesting. So, she's trailing right now. She's likely to lose, and she raised 5 times, 5 to 10 times more. It was a at-large ballot, and so you got to pick two, bubble in two names. She's trailing by thousands of votes, and it looks like I was taking a look. It seems like ballots are down when compared to past years, so there may be some more ballots to count. When we look at some of these numbers from here compared to 2 or 4 years ago, but I mean, they're comparable, and so again, you wouldn't expect them to fall heavily in favor of them to turn these percentages around. Wherever it is, Aurora, yeah, turn some of these percentages around. But I guess we're still talking about it being a potential outcome, so that we haven't fully called it. But I mean, she did concede. ADHD. Okay. And then this time it was 40x. If we look at this Building Wars Future compared to New Era, when you do click on this, you see that they still have like 90K as an org. So they raised that much, so they didn't spend that much on these candidate races, but it was still like I guess we're seeing this here. We're seeing this in New York, that like large outside money, it can have like an impact, but you can keep up and perform well on a smaller budget depending on the race, and it looks like these candidates are doing it. And I think I closed the Aurora map. Here's, you can see the current cash on balance for that group when you click that link. See where some of these, you can try to follow the money. But yeah, Aurora is interesting because it is a very kind of large area. And the Aurora Reservoir, there are some people looking to frack the areas kind of where, near the Aurora Reservoir, and in this area. So with the city council change, we can see potential futures when it comes to the private prisons in the area, as well as future oil and gas drilling and what is able to happen here. And then we had some progressive people win in Westminster. So the whole kind of Denver area, some areas like Denver, Jefferson County, I don't know as much about. Each area kind of has their own local politics. But in two of the battleground areas of Colorado, Aurora and in Douglas County, we're seeing purple areas lean blue. These are very much purple areas in that there's such a large amount of people who aren't with a political party. They're independent or unaffiliated, or can be swayed on certain issues, or depending on the positions. I believe there's some other areas we're still tallying votes, in Colorado Springs area and further down in like Pueblo, but we're seeing a number of conservative, or I want to say even kind of like extreme about parental control, what isn't allowed to be discussed, kind of. I mean, in a number of areas, this like conservative leaning, at least here in Colorado, be stood up to, and positive outcomes happen. So, some very hopeful news. Good job, Colorado. I think that's all I had to talk about. I just wanted to talk local context, really. I want to stream more. I'm still trying to figure out my flow. Different parts of my life, setting goals, moving towards progress on different projects. I'm going to try to find a balance of producing and planning, and then working on the editing side, working on outreach to people, trying to get support on some of these different projects, and also working to catch up on rest. I can kind of feel at times kind of like tiredness, definitely tiredness, and I think when I got back from vacation, I got immediately sick, and so I felt extra behind playing catch up and helping out with local politics, and I was definitely doing my best, and showing up for community in different spaces, but this news, I'm definitely finding hopeful, inspiring, energizing, but I also know I need to take that time for rest, and figuring out what rest looks like for me. So I plan to share more of that in time, but for now we're gonna log off. And yeah, thanks for watching and checking out a little bit about my neck of the woods and how politics is doing in Colorado. See you later.